Twin Cities Audit here, folks, where we audit not only police but the culture as well. Taking a look at what's going on in Minneapolis, 9/19/2024.
Of gunfire were fired on the block behind me, halfway down the block. Police officers responded, and in the alleyway behind me, just past the blue garage with the white door, they found one male suffering from a gunshot wound to the head inside a homeless encampment there, and another individual, a male, shot at least one time in the neck with life-threatening injury. Minneapolis police officers provided medical care till EMS arrived. The male shot in the neck was transported to the hospital, Hennepin County Medical Center, where he has serious but not life-threatening injuries. The second male shot in the head inside the encampment was pronounced deceased at the scene. The investigation remains in its preliminary stages. We do not have a motive at this time, but we do have significant information on a potential suspect who may be our shooter. So there was one gun recovered from the scene. We do not believe that gun was fired at this time. So we believe there's actually a third individual who came with at least one gun firing those 4 rounds. It's very frustrating to be here just a couple hours after I left a community meeting at the American Indian Center on Franklin Avenue. We were talking about police reform and what the department is doing to achieve compliance, but it's very clear that the residents from the neighborhood around here, and not just here, different areas in the neighborhood are just really fed up with the problems associated with encampments. I heard that loud and clear last night. I also heard from residents that they're tired of outsiders coming in and enabling this the activity that goes on here. From residents we heard from saying people from the outside come in, they provide goods and other things that essentially enable people to engage in the drug activity that goes on here, and quite frankly, then associated gun violence. This is probably the 3rd shooting we've had associated with this particular encampment. It is now a crime scene. We're holding this as a crime scene, and we're working with our city partners to try and get this removed once the scene is clear. But it's a sad situation. There's a 20-year-old male that's dead this morning. Another male in his 30s injured by gunfire, and a whole community as kids are, getting up, walking to the bus stop, that not only do they have to deal with walking past this every day, seeing needles and everything else that goes on here, but now they're walking past crime scene tape. It's a serious issue, and we're just, we're looking forward to working with everyone who possibly can to do their part, to help us try and prevent things like this in the future. There's been way too much crime and violence this year, and way too much associated with homeless encampments.
You mentioned, you have citizens in this area, in this neighborhood, who are frustrated. What's your response to that frustration?
My response is they shouldn't have to deal with this. It's unacceptable. This is a complicated problem. You have people in these encampments who do not want services, who are suffering from very severe addictions to fentanyl. Fentanyl is terrible. It's very small amounts, very highly addictive, very, very cheap. It's absolutely horrible. There's violence that's associated with the trafficking of fentanyl, and a lot of the folks that are in these situations that are unhoused are dealing with those addictions, as well as mental health and all kinds of other challenges. There are people out here and organizations out here that are trying to provide help to these folks, but not everybody's willing to accept it, and that's a real challenge. And it is the job of the police to do the law enforcement part of this. So when we do have information around violence or on people dealing drugs, we take action. We have made arrests recently in this area for our narcotics trafficking associated with an encampment. But this is not a problem that we're going to arrest our way out of.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. This is not a problem we're going to arrest our way out of. Now, the Twin Cities is really an epicenter of change around this whole law enforcement approach. This is where Minneapolis is where the George Floyd murder took place for all the world to see. In fact, not too far from where this very issue with encampments and things in Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, is taking place. It would behoove us all to take a look closely at what's going on here because of the fact that they had these institutionalized, heinous, age old slave catcher mentality law enforcement policies. And now they're forced to do away with that. They don't know what to do. So you go from one extreme, which is the George Floyd situation, to now you have encampments setting up outside of people's homes. You can come outside your door and on your front lawn, there's someone with a tent and urinating or defecating behind that tent next to your stairs, where that's now their place of privacy in their bathroom right underneath your window. And when you call the police to do something about it, they can't do anything. They don't know what to do either. Is this the answer, folks? Is this the answer? We go from one extreme to another. I say no. Now, I happen to like this police chief here. There's been a few since the George Floyd incident. I actually like this Brian O'Hare. I've uh, encountered him. There was he was at the American Indian Center, which is a place that I work with from time to time. And in fact, the opening of that building, there was a little bit of a march based on fending off some historical oppressions. I attended that march, and he was there. He actually marched as well. And he seems like a sincere guy that just wants the community to be safer. He wants it to work. He wants a new approach. But these policies and the institutionalization of them are just so insidious, and it's so hard to get around. And then with the extreme left wingism of people like the district attorney now of Hennepin County, or the county attorney rather, not the district attorney, but the county attorney of Minneapolis, an extreme left wing individual that's pretty much making it impossible to deal with the situation. Now, true indeed, law enforcement are not community social workers, right? So this encampment issue is going to require more than just law enforcement. However, because of the pervasiveness of previous acts of law enforcement, it makes it difficult for them to even remove people for trespassing and for minor offenses. So now you have an encampment, multiple encampments, and like he said, first off, you're not going to arrest your way out of the problem. That's number one. And secondly, the fentanyl. Now for those of us who've been around a while, I'm born in the 80s. So I've seen the crack epidemic and the things that have come about as a result of that. This fentanyl, crack had, eventually you had to at least pay a little bit of money. This whole fentanyl situation, it's too cheap. That is a huge part of the problem. The fact that it's too cheap. So I mean, this thing here is multi-layered. It really is. And